What I would like to do now is to open up the annual meeting of the Dutchess County LDC. Jasmine, could you please take a roll call attendance vote?
Tim Jean,
Here.
Mark Doyle,
Yeah.
Kathy Bauer,
Here.
Amy Bondaderi,
Here.
Jamie Pacone,
Here.
Don Sagliano,
Here.
Al Torjani.
Okay. I just want to remind everybody of our conflict of interest policy. If there's anything within this agenda that could create a conflict, I would ask that you let us know either now or when it comes up so that we can make sure that you're recused from that discussion. Sarah, yes.
Excuse me, Tim. Yes, I'll have a conflict with number 11 with the designation of the depository bank as an employee of Salisbury Bank.
Okay. So again, what we'll do, similar to the other meeting, is we'll pull that matter from the consent agenda and we'll discuss it separately without you present.
Thank you.
Is there anybody else has a conflict? Okay. I also want to make sure, Sarah, the meeting date was posted in the proper way.
Correct.
Okay. So we have a consent agenda in front of us, which consists of approval of minutes, election of officers for 2022 appointments, renewal of chief financial officer's bond, renewal of LDC membership in the New York State EDC, authorization for approval of expenses, appointment of members to committees, adoption of policies, designate the law firm, designate official newspaper. I'm going to remove item 12, designate depository banks, from this consent agenda. It will be discussed separately. Is there any matter on the other matter on the consent agenda that a board member would like to remove to be discussed and voted upon separately? Okay. Hearing none, I know that people have had a chance to review the consent agenda items prior to the meeting. Would somebody be willing to make a motion to approve the consent agenda without item 12, designate depository banks?
I can make that motion.
Thank you, Kathy. Can I get a second?
Mark Doyle, I'll second that.
Thank you, Mark. Okay, Jasmine, could you take a vote on the consent agenda less the designated depository banks item?
Mark Doyle,
Approved.
Kathy Bauer,
Approved.
Amy Bondaderi,
Approved.
Jamie Pacone,
Approve.
Don Sagliano,
Approved.
Tim Jean.
Approved. Okay, I would like to ask that Kathy Bauer be removed from the feed so that we can discuss that item. Okay. Somebody confirm that she's been removed.
She's in the waiting room.
Thank you very much. Okay, so we have an item designate depository banks, which would allow us to designate any commercial bank in Dutchess County as a depository for the LDC funds, with no savings banks, just commercial banks, and that any funds deposited over and above the federal maximum of $250,000 for FDIC protection are fully collateralized with securities for the full amount above $250,000. Could I get a motion to approve the designate depository banks?
I'll make a motion.
Thank you,
I'll
Amy.
second.
Thank you, Jamie. Jasmine, could you take a vote, please?
Mark Doyle,
Approved.
Kathy Bauer, Amy Bondaderi,
Approved.
Jamie Pacone,
Approve.
Don Sagliano,
Approved.
Tim Jean.
Approved. Okay, let's bring Kathy back in. And let me know when she's in.
Kathy is back.
Okay, Kathy, can you hear us?
Yes, I can.
All right, great. Welcome back. All right, Sarah, is there any old business?
No.
Okay, new business. So again, as in the other meeting, we have several things that each board member needs to complete and sign and get back to Jasmine. And then we have 3 items that require our approval. I see here I would think it's the fee schedule, the mission and performance policy. Is that right, Sarah?
Correct.
Is
And
there
then
any-
the internal control policy. So 2 items that I would like to bring up to the board's attention is the fee schedule policy is, we are requesting the addition of a special meeting fee of $500. Again, to cover our administrative costs for special meetings. And then the internal control policy, we are recommending the addition of currently, our policy states that all disbursements are made by check. We would like to add by corporate credit card, as more and more vendors are asking for electronic and credit card to pay the disbursement. This will not impact our internal control. As Tim stated earlier, that he does review all our checks and ledgers. And so he would be seeing those payments via the credit card statement versus a check.
So, Sarah, the only question I have with that is we do have dual signature over 10,000 for checks written. Would we allow someone to use a credit card for more than 10,000 without a prior approval?
So we could add to the policy that any credit payment over 10,000 would require approval by just, to echo that. We can add that to the policy.
I would really like to see that. I think that, a written request for the use of a credit card for a payment over 10,000 from a second party, I think it should be part of that.
Okay.
Either that or we just say that an amount over 10,000, a credit card can't be used and a
Okay.
check would still need to be.
Okay.
And
All right.
Sarah, this is an actual credit card, not a debit card, correct?
Yes, it's an actual credit card.
Okay, yeah, because they have much more protection than debit cards do.
Kathy, I'm going to ask you when you speak, if you could speak at the microphone. I'm not sure which
Okay,
device.
sorry.
There we go.
Okay,
Got it. Okay, so the motion would be for, all right, I'm going to take the fee schedule and the mission statement and performance policy as approval together. And we're going to discuss the internal control policy separately. So would anybody be willing to make a motion to accept the fee schedule and the mission statement and performance measurement policy as written?
I'll make that motion.
Thank you. Kathy, second.
Mark Doyle, I'll second that.
Thank you, Mark. All right, so Jasmine, would you take a vote on the fee schedule and mission statement and performance policy?
Mark Doyle,
Approve.
Kathy Bauer,
Approved.
Amy Bondieri,
Approve.
Jamie Picone,
Approve.
Don Sagliano,
Approved.
Tim Jean.
Approved. Okay, now the internal control policy. What I would like to do is make a motion that we approve the policy with the amendment that for credit card purchases over $10,000, a written request would need to be provided to one of the authorized signers, and they would need to give their approval for it to be made on any credit card transaction over $10,000. Sarah and Jane, are you comfortable with that motion as I've stated it?
Mr. Chairman, I have some
Yes.
discussion. These are payments the agency is making or payments that the agency is receiving?
Making.
We have a credit card with the agency that has a credit line available of more than $10,000?
That's a fair question.
Yes, so we have an American Express card.
Okay. Thank you.
As a follow-up question, do we also have a debit card? And if so, should we not be including that language?
So we do not have a debit card. We only have the one credit card.
I would suggest not ever getting a debit card because it's a lot harder to dispute any fraudulent charges on a debit card if you do not notice them right away. As for the protection of the agency, I would suggest just maintaining and staying with credit cards.
Thank you, Kathy. Does everybody understand what she's saying? There is a difference in the legal obligations of the card issuer in a debit card versus a credit card. Okay, so I had a motion, I had suggested some wording for a motion. Again, amending the policy that was written to add language that any credit card purchase over $10,000 would require the written submission of a written request and an approval from an authorized signer, second authorized signer on our accounts. Is anybody willing to make that motion?
I'll make that motion.
Thank you. Could I get a second?
I'll second.
Kathy, thank you. All right, Jasmine, could you please take a vote?
Mark Doyle,
Approve.
Kathy Bauer,
Approved.
Amy Bondieri,
Approve.
Jamie Pacone,
Approve.
Don Sagliano,
Approved.
Jim Dean.
Approved. Okay, is there any other matter, Sarah, for the annual meeting of the LDC?
No, no more.
Okay. I would like to formally adjourn the meeting, annual meeting of the Dutchess County LDC.